Human solidarity is recognizing that we are all one human family and is based on the simple fact that God created everyone in his image and likeness, and that we're all made equal. There's an issue to that, however, known as racism. Racism is a prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. A lighthearted example of racism is army men. Let's take the classic green versus tan. At first glance, it might look like the classic overused good versus bad, an example which is the Transformers. You got the Autobots believing that
freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
Hence, they fight the tyranny of the evil Decepticons. And army men are actually racist. They're not just this black and white picture of good versus bad, no. Because each side calls each other slurs, like, hey, you puke because greens look like vomit, and hey, you sand monkey because tans look like sand, and monkeys just there to add salt to the wound. But they have this idea ingrained in their heads that they have a divine right to conquer the other color, which is very similar to real life, because a racist believes that he or she's race is superior to the other ones, giving them the right to bully, which incorporates calling the other race racial slurs, but also be violent against the supposed inferior race. Now that we understand what racism is, we can figure out why it's a problem. It's an issue because it alienates other races as if they're different species and should be discriminated against or antagonized. This destroys human solidarity because we're no longer unified because we don't see each other as one human race when we're races, which in turn rejects the fact that God is all equally in his image and likeness. And ironically, racism indiscriminately targets everyone. Pope John the 23rd states in his encyclical Peace on Earth, quote, "In human society, to one man's right there corresponds a duty in another person's. The duty, namely, of acknowledging and respecting the right in question," unquote. What he's saying here is, because of human solidarity, we all have the same basic rights. And one of those rights is calling us to protect the rights of other human beings. Now, we need to educate as many people as we can. We need to educate the whole world about human solidarity, about Pope John the 23rd's statement here. Because by doing so, we will eventually win our little war against racism. So that someday, racism will not exist. That someday, racism will be left to rot away in some ancient history textbook.